Hi everyone, my name is Ridvan Bari Urcosta. I am from Strategy&Future. Together with my colleague, with Marek Budzisz, we having a guest from Ukraine. He is Admiral Ihor Kabanenko. He is a retired admiral, but at the same time, he has really enormous and excellent biography and understanding what's going on in Ukraine from the point of view of strategy, strategic point of view, and let's say geopolitical understanding, regional geopolitical understanding, what's going on in the Black Sea region at large. So, welcome, Mr. Ihor.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your introduction. Thank you for invitation. It is my pleasure and privilege to be here with you and, of course, to speak about different aspects of Black Sea security problems in terms of defense and so on.
Yeah, thank you again. So my first question would be, let's say, more general. So how you would describe the current geopolitical situation of Ukraine? What kind of challenges Ukraine is facing?
It's really a not easy situation because a lot of factors, what we should count if we are speaking about geopolitical situation in Ukraine right now. The most important aspect is still the problem of occupation. It's geopolitically, strategically has a great influence of all aspects of all situation in Ukraine. It's occupation, illegal annexation of Crimea by Russia, and continuing process of military buildup in Peninsula, and ongoing conflict in Donbass with presence of Russia, with different stages. These change each other, so-called silent stages, and activation as well of activities from enemy, from Russian-backed separatists, and so on. So it's not easy, and of course it's influenced in a lot of aspects of current situation, atmosphere inside of our country. Of course, we should count on ongoing process of transformation of Ukrainian Armed Forces, as well, not easy process, because this 2020, a lot of factors influenced on this process, COVID as well, and of course problems of lack of state resources, problems of state management, because some aspects of transformation, what has taken before, they are changed by new administration. So generally, it's not easy and difficult situation. And at least three things from my perspective, what Ukraine needs to implement in next year. The first, they should very precisely learn lessons from Karabakh conflict, because not only operational or tactical, but strategically, Ukraine should keep on its back, should have on its back the regional leader. I think the best option is the UK. They can see a lot of the UK administration activities to support our defense reform, particularly our naval capabilities creation. Second aspect, we need very, again, based on lessons what should be learned from Karabakh conflict. They should very professionally they create very professional vision on such transformation, because now undoubtedly we don't have any chance to symmetrically fight with Russia and to win in this battle, not easy battle. I speak not only about military definition of this battle. So we need to find a symmetrical approach to win this. And of course, third, what Ukraine should demonstrate, really demonstrate the better standards of life, the economic growth, demonstrate the good governance, the state governors, and so on, to create attractive lifestyle, attractive conditions of life in our country. So it's, sorry, but this is some kind of my short explanation, my personal vision. It's, of course, some aspects of this vision are discussable, but again, what defense, security, and defense influenced and will influence on many aspects of survival and many aspects of many conditions of inside of our state.
Yes. Sir, let me ask you.
Yeah, please.
After President Zelensky visit in London, and especially after his meeting with President Erdogan in Turkey, there were some voices in Ukraine that Ukraine is building a kind of military alliance, but also to some degree economic one, with Turkey and Great Britain. Is it something supplementary to the NATO orientation of should be treated as a new move or something looking for a new format of the cooperation on this field? What's your opinion? Do you share this view?
Thank you very much for your question. From my perspective, on one hand, this is supplementary to NATO ambitions, to Ukraine's NATO ambitions, but not only. I think they can find more correct word, what I propose to use, but this more comprehensively, include more comprehensive aspects, more comprehensive mechanisms, not only to get member action plan. For example, our Minister of Defense mentioned this a couple weeks ago for next year goal, defense and security goal of Ukraine. But also this is a real opportunity to build more wider cooperation, not only with military or defense sphere, because defense here, from my perspective, could be a locomotive of other cooperation, other aspects of partnership, which is, yes, of course, this is very good for implementation of Ukraine's ambition to be a member of NATO, but also this is some kind of creation of Black Sea Security Club with leaders inside of this club, and of course with possibility for Ukraine not only spend some to get some security advantages from partners from the UK and Turkey, but also to invest some security measures. So this is two-way road from my perspective, and of course it can bring security and stability in the region. on the face of, again, in the face of Russian military buildup, enormous activities in the Black Sea region, in the Eastern Mediterranean, and so military activities. So I propose to use word comprehensive cooperation. But of course, from my perspective, I should stress again, what Ukraine should have regional leader on his back who can cover his back. This looks like the same as ties between, as friendly ties between Azerbaijan, between Baku and Ankara. It works from my perspective, and they should learn this lesson, and of course should build such kind of cooperation.
So, sir, you use the term that Ukraine should have the cooperation or help with the regional leader. You mean Turkey?
Yeah, from my perspective, it's what we see right now, because you know probably what the UK they demonstrate the good level of activity in different spheres: training of personnel, orbital mission, investment to creation of naval capability, Ukrainian naval capabilities, missile boats. They invest in real presence. British forces in our country in not easy time. I should remember the British paratroopers jumps in the vicinity of Nikolaev, and not during not easy time. Then Russia, on the face of Russian large scale military exercise Kavkaz 2020. So it was a not only just exercise military as usual military exercise, it was a measures of deterrence to deter Russia. So it's a lot of areas there. The UK shows and demonstrates support of Ukraine, real investments, real steps ahead. I think what the UK is also should count as a regional leader. Why? Because we know what a lot of interest, British interest, that they still exist in the region, and historical experience, evidence about that from the Crimean War and during Cold War as well, and other geopolitical, periods of times. So, of course, Turkey is also our partner, regional partner, big partner, and Ukraine should pay a lot of attention, a lot of efforts here as well. But from my point of view, here some problem also exists. Some problems exist, and they should count as well. Because, for example, what do you think? Should we count what yesterday the US Congress decision in terms of sanctions against defense industry, Turkey and the defense industry? Because for Ukraine, the US is a strategic partner in different spheres. And the UK already invested, and still continue to invest a lot in creation of Mosquito Fleet, asymmetric Mosquito capabilities according the strategy of development of the Ukrainian Naval Forces up to 2035. So diplomacy here, it's a very good tool. But it's not a question about what Ukraine should just think less about Turkey or think more about. We should build absolutely transparent, absolutely clear ties with our regional partner Turkey, but built it based on common interests here as well. So,
actually, you already mentioned Mosquito's fleet. So, for instance, recently I was reading an article that General Ruslan Homchak, so he stated that Mosquito Navy is actually kamikaze. So if you are creating a Mosquito Navy, so this navy is going to be destroyed by Russian naval forces. Would you agree with this? And how you would in general describe, because I know that you extensively was writing about Mosquito Fleet concept. How you describe this concept, and would you agree with this statement which was made by General Homchak? Thank you.
You know, it's as well. It's a historical experience. Unfortunately, Ukraine's political military, mentality is based on land-centric, let's say, approaches. And last time we spent a lot of time last years in terms of to not only to on expert level to explain what does it mean Mosquito Fleet, but a lot of historical aspects, evidence about that, about success of such approach for some maritime nations. We can find in from 18th century, even during First World War. Before the Crimean War, you can find a lot of examples. For example, after Crimean War, when Russia lost ability, lost right to keep his fleet, naval forces in the Black Sea, and after London conference, it was renovated for Russia. And for short time, Russia, because for short time it was not possible before the next Russian-Turkish war to renovate Russian forces, and they made a bid on Mosquito Fleet, Mosquito capabilities, so-called Branders, and Admiral Makarov, not Makarov, one of Russian admirals, they just used this to fight the Turkish fleet, and it was very successful fight, a very successful outcomes of very successful tactics of the use of such forces. So from the beginning, first of all, it was approach, asymmetric approach to fight by small platforms, small naval platforms, maneuverable naval platforms with bigger naval platforms, ships, up to destroyer class, frigate destroyer class. So, and development of this approach was very interesting during the Second World War, when speed was added to maneuverable of small platforms, and speed was added to such approaches. It was a fast boats with average torpedo boats with average speed 55 knots nautical knots, and of course it gave them new opportunities to fight effectively with bigger platforms, petty boats, or gave 5 patrol boats in Russian and Navy and in Sevastopol. So it was a real Mosquito Tactics, because it was a swarm of such boats from different directions. They attacked the enemy, and it was not easy to fight with them because, again, small, fast, maneuverable, and have a very low signature. So today, new technologies allowing us to implement very lethal weapon, missile weapon, and other capabilities to implement in small platforms for effective fight with bigger enemy at sea. So Mosquito Fleet, this is connection in one platform, maneuverability, speed more than 40 knots, lethal weapon, low signature. So together it gives a good opportunity not only to fight but win, because of course it's a swarm tactics. This is tactics which you need to keep quite big number of such platforms.
So I can I can understand that you are not agree with concept of home check, that it's suicidal to create such fleet.
Again, this is we should understand what Mosquito Fleet. This is not all boats, because different boats exist, even civil boats, even small boats. But Mosquito Fleet has its own characteristics. What we should understand. It's a first, and via this understanding to build tactics of course, procurements and tactics, and of course it's for example Mark 6 amphibious strike boat. This is absolutely technologically. This is absolutely new era of fight at sea. Why? Because it needs very professional personnel who not only technically understand these modern techniques on board of weapon equipment on board of this boat, but understand what tactically how to use it, advantages of this boat in a naval battle. So I'm very skeptical in terms of possibility to keep existing in naval forces personnel who serve only conscripts who serve only 1.5 years. What they will be effective on board of these platforms. There should be professional personnel, very well trained, motivated, with mosquito, let's say, mindset, mosquito skills for this. So this is not only question of mosquito platform. This is question of personnel. This is question of infrastructure to base, logistic, and so on. This is common approach which included different aspects, how to not only just to buy some platform, how to provide effective usage of some such platforms.
Sure. Let's concentrate and discuss a little bit more
please.
The importance of the strategic directions from the Ukrainian point of view, because maybe that's wrong understanding that Kiev attaches more importance lastly to the security of the Black Sea and last to the direction, for example, of Belarus. What's your opinion about which direction is from Ukraine point of view most important?
Yeah, it's a good question. Yeah, thank you. I think this should count not only some strategic, threats or strategic risks, but also because we should understand there we have vulnerability. First of all, operational vulnerability. If we would look on land and installations of our land forces or forces which trained, they created, trained, equipped, and so on to fight for continental part, for land territories, you can find here some possibility to do it more or less effective. And if you will speak about north direction, we have here good quality troops in Zhytomyr, in Rivne, in Kiev, in other places, which could be used to provide not only defense of some parts of territory in the vicinity of our borders, but also territorial defense. But different situation, you can see if you look on a sea. Here we have absolutely open flanks because very little capability, very low level of capabilities to provide security and defense of our coastline and maritime territories as well. We lost, this is expert evaluation, assessment. Since 2014, we have lost 100,000 square kilometers of our sovereign maritime waters from 137,000 square kilometers. So it's a lot part, it's a huge part. It's this is the same as territory, for example, of South Korea, if you'll compare this with land, or as a territory of three biggest oblast, biggest regions of our country. So I think this is not only my opinion. What we should prioritize security aspects, and we should pay more attention for security and defense of our maritime, sovereign maritime waters. This includes not only territorial waters, but our exclusive maritime economic zone. This is my explanation.
Yes. Could in your let me ask, could Transnistria be treated as an open flank or as a potential threat to the Ukraine's security? And I refer myself to the words of Mrs. Sandu, told that she will invite Kiev to solving the Transnistria problem, especially Russian forces in this region. How, in your opinion, could it be managed, and how what scenario we can observe here in Transnistria in the near future?
Yeah, thank you. I think here is it's a good field for diplomacy, for cooperation, because it's common vision between two states right now, between Moldova and the Ukraine after election of new president of Moldova. And of course, I see here a lot of opportunities, not only in aspects of direct aspects of our cooperation between two nations, but also in the framework of other opportunities, international opportunities here. If we will speak about military or defense directly connected with military, with armed forces aspects, I don't see here a lot of threats, yes, of course, some exist, but cooperation here between armed forces in areas in the field of sharing information, as well as common trainings. For example, in the framework of Sea Breeze exercise, with some specific parts of scenario of this exercise, it could be useful for both sides. What's your opinion, Marek?
You know, I think that that probably that is a kind of problem which should be solved. And I don't, as I understand the attitude of the Mrs. Sandu, what she told in the interviews, she do not exclude the kind of military demonstration as a pressure, just to looking for the best solution. Without the cooperation with Ukraine, it's impossible. And she also declared that she will want to build a kind of private a line of cooperation between Bucharest, Kiev, and Chisinau. So that's potential, and potential is a new format also in Ukrainian policy. That's.
Yeah, I agree. Absolutely agree. So it's again, we'll stress what we can find different formats in diplomacy formats to move ahead in this direction, as well as military common military activities. Most important from my perspective is what our efforts in here. You mentioned Romania. Thank you very much. Our efforts here, they should follow common interests. A common interest is a security in this area, this area in the region, as well as a whole region, and they should find a very good connection between different initiatives here. For example, one of them, but this is discussable as well. This is discussable aspect. For example, Montreux Convention. Montreux Convention, based on some points, for example, non-Black Sea state naval forces, naval assets could be, which follow through Turk Straits, should be in the Black Sea, not more than 21 days. For example, let me just try to provide some imagination, some situation. For example, if some non-Black Sea state, for example, warship, will pass Turk Straits, and after that will put inside of Danube. It means what this ship doesn't present at each time in the Black Sea. So according to Montreux Convention, we should stop, count these 21 days. So again, I would say what a lot of mechanisms we can use if it would be political will, aim to provide security and prosperity, stability in the region together. Some of them could be under NATO umbrella, some of them based on bilateral or multilateral agreements. But again, I would stress what it should based on political will and understanding what situation is changing is very fast. And if we would like to provide effective mechanism right now, we should anticipate, we should predict professionally development of this situation tomorrow. So this is, sorry for this, some kind of explanation, not directly connect with what we talking about Transnistria, Moldova, Romania, but I think this is important. Bring
Actually,
together
I wanted
efforts.
Pan Marek,
maybe the last one. Both of us, I mean Poland and Ukraine, we are observing the deepening of the military cooperation between Russia and Belarus. To how degree this trend is changing the geostrategic situation of Ukraine? Because in near future we can, in practice, have the rotational presence of Russia forces in Belarus, and maybe also the air base, which is a topic of ongoing discussion.
Yeah, sure. I agree. There's still continuous discussion, but we know what Russia is already have military installations, military bases in Belarus. Not much, but some they keep there. This is some kind of access to the territory of Belarus, because it's a special conditions of inside of this installation, special regime, special other aspects, and this as a platform for sharing, for presence, for bigger present here already exists. This is also, it's a question of time from my perspective, and this is a question of further steps of existing administration in Belarus. So they understand what right now this is still continue this turbulent time in after presidential election. It's turbulent time in this state. We are looking for development situation in terms of presence of Russian forces there. Most of activities, from my perspective, Russian activities, they are hybrid, have a so-called a hidden form of presence. But we should remember what they are. Both states militarily integrated between each other. They have some common elements of management, military management, control, education, military education, and so on. So it's those aspects are already, those things already exist. From our side, they should precisely look on development of this situation, and of course to provide our deterrence measures from our side to avoid worse scenarios of such situation development. This is a strategic approach. Tactically or operationally, it can include more elements to this, but based on our strategy, if you will look at our Ukrainian national security and defense, new national security and defense strategy signed by President Zelensky, you can find this stress on deterrence measures. Deterrence measures, of course, reconnaissance, intelligence, but deterrence measures, particular in terms of this part of our region.
What's your opinion? Could be the so-called Lublin format be used as a kind of deterrence measure against the potential threat from the Russia and Belarus side.
Yes, I would like to add here, because, for instance, you already mentioned about bilateral relations between UK, US, and Turkey, but at the same time, why Poland? Why Poland? From Ukrainian perspective, why actually Poland doesn't have such experience of military cooperation with Ukraine? Because it should be, it seems.
Yeah, we have a good format of our partnership with Poland, security and defense sphere. We have a part of common trilateral brigade as well. Polish troops, they are actively participating in different exercises, military exercises in territory of Ukraine, and so on. They have a essential part in training missions and so on. Again, why I stress on UK, the cooperation of UK, because we need to have a regional UK, Turkey. They have to build regional, very close cooperation with maritime nation which have interest in Black Sea region. Because again, I would stress what we have open flanks here, Ukraine, at sea, in maritime area. And this is priority from my perspective. Of course, we should continue to cooperate with Poland. We should find the different formats, new formats, for example, in ASD, Air Situation Data, other programs. We should develop this, increase intensity of our common joint activities in different fields. But of course, for us, for Ukraine, is very interesting is experience of not only a Poland way to NATO, but also experience of cooperation, a Polish defense industry with defense industry or well-developed defense industries. US, UK, and other European countries, and of course the United States of America. Because this is for us very important, because Poland understands procedures, industrial procedures. For us, it's unfortunately we are on the first stage of this way, and former Soviet mentality exists not only in some military approaches, but in how our defense industry is working. We should change this approach. So a lot of fields of cooperation. You mentioned the Lublin format, but sure, we should together work in different formats where we have the common interests. We have a lot of interests, particularly in the region. Of course, we can build more close cooperation, so-called intermarium format between two Bs, Baltic Sea and Black Sea. Norwegian colleagues, we write very interesting research about three Bs, about Barents, Baltic, and Black Sea. It's a lot of differences, but a lot of similarities in terms of geopolitics, in terms of development of this geopolitical situation. And based on this, we have, because together they can do more, essentially more than separately each other. So different formats of cooperation, different, both hands for this.
Yes, but maybe because of this, a few American experts are talking about the Eastern Front not as an eastern flank of deterrence of the Russia, but maybe the explanation of this relative imbalance between this attitude to the Black Sea and to the north direction. Maybe the explanation is much more prosaic. Maybe Great Britain and Turkey are more active, and Poland should be more active to offer the new format and the new possibilities of cooperation. Maybe that's the result of the lack of the activity of the Polish side. You mentioned, for example, the industry working for the army. Ukraine just announced the privatization of this sector of the economy. Should, in your opinion, Poland be more active in creating the new formats of military cooperation, but maybe also simultaneously of the industrial cooperation in this sector?
Yeah, sure. Yes, you stress on from my perspective very important aspects, and from my perspective, it's they should build cooperation in different areas, in different directions. Sure, military cooperation between our navies, air forces, and land forces. It's a good opportunity. What we should always keep momentum of implementation of those opportunities. But industrial capital, you have Poland has a very good experience. What you got from cooperation with Raytheon, with Lockheed Martin, with Harris, and other companies, famous leaders around the world, companies which give opportunity to your country to transform your armed forces based on modern technologies. Technology on the 21st century is the first, and all ongoing conflicts demonstrate that. Even we can see this on last Karabakh battle, Karabakh War. So you have this experience. Our industry, defense industry, of course, from my perspective, this is some kind of from a Soviet approach. They fear to cooperate with Western companies. It's a lot of stereotypes exist here in this field. So you can bring your experience, can explain how to do that. Which kind of procedures we should learn, we should implement in our defense industry. How step by step to move based on different approaches, how to procure equipment, FMF, FMS, direct commercial sale, and so on. I think this industrial cooperation, not only to try to sell something or buy something or produce some pieces together, but build more comprehensive, more deeper industrial cooperation based on common procedures, common methodology, common vision. I think this could be the good goal.
Dear sir, actually, I would like to ask a very controversial question. Mm-hmm. For instance, if I am not mistaken, recently when Zelensky was in Turkey, he actually offered to build planes together with two Turkish military industries. But at the same time, we have a question, big one, it's Motor Sich. For instance, would you imagine, of course, as you said about the Dunay River, so in imaginary terms, or could you assume that Poland can cooperate in such way, for instance, in joint, I mean, building, construction? in case of motor siege, I mean?
It's not easy question because probably, this situation development in some aspect is, from my assessment, it's not good. From some aspects, it's promised. It's of course we can find here good fields of cooperation between our states in different areas, and aircraft building industry as well. But it's difficult for me to comment last development in terms of motor siege, because what Chinese side they want to launch new process against Ukraine. It's a lot of money they mentioned in this court process. We'll see development, because in our era of populism, PR, we can see a lot of elements on the top of iceberg, which is visible for all. But a lot of mechanisms are working in deeper, not visible.
I understand you. So let's return to the naval aspects, naval strategy.
Yeah, please.
So US is building naval facilities in the Black Sea. UK promised to build naval facilities in the Black Sea, but it's unclear. Could you clarify to us where they're going to build? I mean, like in the Black Sea only, or in the Sea of Azov as well? So how it's yes, please.
Please, Mark, please.
I heard that in both places, yes. The first base in Azov Sea and the second in Black Sea as a goal. That's my...
Yes, and how it's going to happen? I mean, like, would British forces are going to construct separately from Americans, or really it's going to be something joint?
It's not. Fortunately, it's not, as you mentioned, separately and so on. Together, efforts together to help Ukraine to build infrastructure, naval infrastructure, sure, in the Sea of Azov and in the Black Sea. And why it is important for us? Because never ever in history of independence of Ukraine built a naval bases. So we have a zero experience in this field. So this is the same as combat ships building. So we need to get technologies, we need to get experience, we need to train our personnel, and so on. And of course, those bases should be interoperable with NATO. Let's mention this. This is also important. This is absolutely different standards. These were when it was during Soviet Union time. So, and this part of infrastructure building, naval infrastructure building, was a part of agreement between our states, between the UK and Ukraine. Because first part about missile boats building, and second part infrastructure, because those assets, so missile boats, Mark 6 boats, Island class boats, they should get needed support, needed logistic support, needed facilities to keep combat readiness of such forces, needed facilities, accommodations for personnel, good quality. So this is a question of motivation of personnel as well. So we appreciate this support in Ukraine, and it would work for defense as well. So it's not a separate projects. This is not for the US and not for the UK. This is for Ukraine, for Ukrainian Naval Forces, of course. Visits of NATO states, assets, naval assets, ships, Of course, Ukraine is will invite to visit, but those bases will belong to Ukraine.
Yes, but this base, especially in the Azov Sea, should be available. I want to ask you if you do not afraid that because of the no delimitation of the borders in the Azov Sea, the access to this base will be in practice controlled by Russia forces, or could be controlled by Russia forces, and how this question could be, in your opinion, solved?
You know, this is from my point of view. This is, I think, this is a question of terminology. What does it mean? Will be controlled by Russian forces, because those bases will belong to Ukraine. So Ukraine will control areas inside bases. So this is territory of Ukraine.
I mean,
and in vicinity of those bases. If you think what Russian forces will have opportunity to come in these bases, I'm not sure. I'm absolutely sure what would not, because Ukrainian forces will provide security and defense of such some bases. So provocations, yes, it's possible based on experience. But control, I'm not sure. I'm absolutely sure what we will not control. Control as a, if you're speaking about control as a presence of naval forces, Russian naval forces. Provocation, yes, it's possible. And what do you think? What's your point of view on this, or do you see some? Yes, restrictions exist because this agreement, 2003 agreement, what this is internal water, what Azov Sea is internal waters of both states, it exists. So restrictions exist as well. But on the other hand, the very well known what naval presence in areas. This builds some, yes, this is some kind of flexible, this is not contemporary construction of security construction. But remember about immunity of warship, because it belongs of state which flag this ship keep on board. Immunity means what this ship will follow only jurisdiction of state which flag she raised. So and this contraction presents at sea and key maritime areas and key nodes, maritime nodes. So this is important. This is important to build this security construction. I think this should be the center of gravity of such presence of Ukrainian naval forces in the region, in the Sea of Azov, in any regions, and in the Black Sea as well. Constant presence in key areas, key maritime areas.
Maybe it's going to be last question because we mostly asking about Ukraine, but let's speak about a bit about what actually could we expect in the near future regarding Russian naval strategy, because now Russia is controlling the Sea of Azov, Kerch Straits, let's say maritime economic zone over the Crimea. Mm-hmm. So to Ukraine left quite small part of the Black Sea, western part. So how would you describe, or what kind of real challenges are coming in this part of Black Sea? Or maybe they are not coming. So because you let's say you had quite good experience of understanding all this region, particularly western part of the Black Sea.
And
Yeah,
one supportive, let's name it, question: how it should be interpreted that Turkey decided to deploy S-400 to Sinop near the Black Sea border? How it should be interpreted?
If we are speaking about the Black Sea region, yeah, absolutely agree what you mentioned. What Russia has a domination, supremacy, naval supremacy in the Sea of Azov. They control the Kerch Strait. Of course, have a presence in Ukraine's maritime exclusive maritime economic zone. And what we are seeing right now, this is just continuation of this is ongoing process of creeping annexation of Ukrainian sovereign waters. And to stop this, they should build, of course, we should build asymmetric capabilities, and as soon as possible, because we lost, unfortunately, a lot of time. And to build deterrence measures, and with deterrence capabilities, such forces, and of course with their capabilities to adequately respond of such activity to stop this creeping annexation. At least this is task. This is minimum task for our Mosquito Fleet or naval forces. Symmetrically, it would be not possible because, for example, Russian anti-ship missiles, number of anti-ship missiles, they have an absolute dominance here because Ukraine has nothing up to now. So this is a strategy here, not strategy, the operational, let's say, aspects of strategy in the Black Sea. In the Sea of Azov as well. Now Russia has a possibility to launch its naval assets just in vicinity of a coastline in the Sea of Azov. Yes, of course, because this is 2003 agreement, bilateral agreement. So they should create their forces which can just be a presence. Their presence in different areas, maritime areas, to control this in the interest of Ukraine, and of course to provide deterrence measures and adequate response measures. So it's visible tasks. If we are speaking about wider perspectives, because Russia keeps huge assets, naval assets in Sevastopol, in Crimea, to provide forces projection to the Eastern Mediterranean and beyond. So if we are speaking about this, here a lot of, from my perspective, food for brain for our NATO colleagues to provide deterrence measures there. And most important, to look on hidden assets. For example, improved Kilo-class submarines, which are carriers of caliber missiles. Caliber missiles can carry nuclear warhead, and with range of such missiles up to 2,500 kilometers. So this is, I think, what NATO colleagues should count very, very, very precisely, very cautiously. So Turkey, from my point of view, each sovereign state have its own right, based, of course, on international law, to build its capabilities, security and defense capabilities for its own interests. And I think here, of course, it's better to keep forces as more close to operational levels as possible. This is your example about Turkey. I think this is just based on this argumentation.
We have.
This is why Ukraine should keep assets in both theaters. For Ukraine, it's at different theaters right now because Russia controls Kerch Strait. So both theaters, we should keep our forces, needed forces in both theaters, not only in one, as it was early.
I very hope that all these goals are going to be fulfilled, and we actually have many questions to you, but unfortunately we have only 1 hour. So I have to remind that we had a great opportunity to speak with retired Admiral Ihor Kabanenko, and at the same time I really invite you to read his articles in Jamestown Foundation, and at the same time I should indicate that he is a chief of a Ukrainian Advanced Research Project Agency. So it is, if I am not mistaken, it's new think tank in Ukraine. Yes.
This is our company is have inside of different facilities and different centers of excellence. First, R&Ds, defense-oriented R&Ds, but not just as a paper or some small products. From idea to industrial implementation to final products.
I see.
And of course, we have here is some think tank, which allow us to not only just concentrate our efforts on technical, let's say, aspect, but also think strategically about situation and how we can bring advantages, technological superiority to solve such problems. Thank you very much.
Thank you, and I hope it is not only 1 hour meeting, and in the near future we would, if you would accept our invitation, we would love to have next one.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your questions. Take care. All the best.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye bye.